Hey ladies and gentlemen, this is AP StarCraft coming at you with another video commentary. In this game we'll be pitting my red Zerg in the right middle portion of the map versus my opponent's blue Protoss in the top portion of the map. We're having a little bit of friendly talk right now. Looks like damn Zerg today, haha, nothing but Zerg. Gotta hate that. Gotta hate it when that happens. I myself don't really like those mirror matches that when I'm facing those other Zerg players. Looks like my opponent doesn't really enjoy it too much neither, but looks like he is at least appreciative of the fact that it's not at least it's not constant Terran that he's going up against, and I could agree with that. Yeah, and I'm setting out my Overlord to go scout the closest main starting point, and I will be able to find my opponent's starting position over here. I was sending my other drone to go scout over here, but having seen that my opponent's starting position was up here, I redirected my drone to go up here and to go scout out my opponent's starting location. And I'm redirecting my Overlord to come up over here and go hide up in the cliffs over here. Going for a standard build right now. Just pumping out those drones right now, and I'm probably going to be doing a 15 extractor, 14 pull. Having my drone run around my opponent's base to check things out, see exactly what my opponent is doing. I still don't have that extractor up. I just now put the extractor actually, and I'm putting up the pull. So I was a little bit late on the extractor, a little bit of a mistake on my part, but something that I could correct in the future. Looks like my opponent is chrono boosting his Nexus right now, pumping out those drones. Let's see how our income compares. Right now my opponent is ahead of me in the Harvester account, and I would like to reiterate what I've stated in previous commentaries about in the early game the Zerg is basically playing catch up until really they got the second hatchery up and they got all their starting buildings up and running, such as the spine crawlers and such. My opponent is running his probe around my base right now and being a little bit of an annoyance. Looks like I tried to send out my drone to go start chasing him, but looks like I misclicked and I did not click him, so my opponent's probe is running around my base unabated at this moment. And looks like my opponent put down a forge, so I had to watch out for some kind of pylon and photon cannon drop. So I'm sending down a drone over here to chase out my opponent. I tried to go for my old trademark extractor steal, but it looks like my opponent noticed that my drone was trying to go for an extractor steal, so he placed down an assimilator before I was able to do such, which was a good move by my opponent, denying me that steal and claiming his assimilator. My opponent is running his probe back to his base, so I'm going to stop that drone from chasing him and put him back on the mineral line. You might as well go and begin mining those resources. Getting my metabolic boost upgrade, very standard boost. Oh, and it looks like my opponent forgot to put his zealot on hold, so I was able to pull out that zealot and I was able to bring it down. Looks like I'm going to bring down this photon cannon as well. No, it looks like my opponent might have cancelled that, and looks like my opponent's bringing out some probes in order to try to push back my attack. I'm doing a little bit of micro over here, making sure my as few Zerglings as possible die to these probes. Ooh, but it looks like he was able to kill a couple, and he was able to chase him out a little bit. Maybe I shouldn't have run him out because he could have just placed the probes over here. I wouldn't have been able to get back in. But I decided to pull back because those probes were doing a pretty good number on my Zerglings at that time. I decided to pull back and try to wait till I get the metabolic boost upgrade before I say anything. And my opponent cursing himself out. I guess he knows that he had made a blunder over there. And I'm trying to get this stalker killed. It takes about 3 Zerglings to kill a stalker. But my opponent got these 2 photon cannons up, so it's going to be really killing a lot of my Zerglings. It killed all of my lings except for these 2 right here. And you gotta be careful when you're trying to make a run by such as that on your opponent's mineral line, because you could end up spending more resources than you are able to deal out in damage to your opponent. So you gotta balance it out. You gotta make sure that if you're gonna do a run by through his mineral line, it's gonna be worth it. And you can't forget your macro neither, because after your run by is defeated, if it gets defeated, your opponent can very easily do and probably will do a counter attack. And if you have nothing defending your base, that's basically game over for you. Ooh, looks like I'm getting a bunch of lings killed over here. Not good, definitely. Looks like I got 2 or 3 lings killed trying to get into his base. But I'm trying to do a little bit of damage in his base. I see that he's putting down some additional gateways, so looks like I'm guessing that he changed up his strategy a little bit in response to the fact that my lings were able to get into his base. I'm not exactly sure though. Putting up an additional photon cannon, and I'm killing a couple of probes here and there, so I am slightly behind his harvester count. Now I am ahead of his harvester count, so I guess my harassment has done its job. He's lost more resources than I have, 925 to 400 resources, but it looks like he's going to be able to kill these lings off with his stalker. Had I attacked his stalker when I had those 4 lings before they got killed off, I might have been able to kill him off, but he might have tried to kite my Zerglings back to his photon cannon, so in all likelihood I would have lost them regardless. But I was able to, those lings were able to do their job. They were able to kill off a lot of resources, and he took a larger resource hit than I did. Right now I'm getting additional spine crawlers. Looks like I already got 2 spine crawlers. Building those units, building those drones, have some lings out. 31 harvesters to 30. So we're pretty even at this moment, at this time. So it's not too much in favor of one versus the other. Army count, I am behind in the army count, so you gotta watch out for that if my opponent tries to push out. Production, let's see. Twilight Council, probably gonna be trying to get some kind of upgrade. Perhaps gonna be getting Blink, I don't know. I have my Zerglings just hanging around this Xel'Naga, trying to scout out my opponent, and have an additional link over here, just trying to see if my opponent attempts to do any kind of push. I'll be able to respond to that by producing additional units. Right now I'm not too far behind. It's like 750 resources versus, well, minerals versus my, actually it is a pretty good amount behind, because my opponent, on top of the mineral resources that he spent 900, he also spent 600 on Vespene gas, so I'm a pretty good margin behind my opponent right now in the army size, so I have to watch out. But I have 4 spine crawlers over here, so any kind of push my opponent does is not going to be that easy to get past my spine crawlers into my base or even my main, and I doubt he'll be able to really avoid my spine crawlers if he tries to just make a run to my main base. But right now pumping out those Mutalisks, so the army gap is closing right now. Looks like I pulled ahead of him in the army size actually, and I've also pulled ahead of my opponent in the harvester size, so I've taken the lead now, and I was able to take the lead in just I don't know how long that was, maybe seconds. But it looks like my opponent has an observer, so he knows that I have a spire, and he probably knows that I have Mutalisks, so it looks like he's going to be expecting that. Let's see what he's getting with that Twilight Council. Did he get anything? No, he did not get anything. Oh, he's getting Templar Archives. I'm going to have to watch out for that. Templar Archives could do terrible damage to a Zerg player. But Mutalisks, they do fairly well against Templars, since they're able to kind of sidestep the Sonic Storm and such. What doesn't do well against the High Templars are Lings or Hydralisks. They get completely raped.